Hi guys, this is Bethesda Star, Jane Celia, Targeted Shaman. I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I'm also a targeted individual. I never thought I'd be using those terms. I mean, they were non-existent pretty much for a long time in my life. So I'm going to smudge first, and I'm going to start with white sage, which has scientifically been proven to eliminate negative energies, including like flu. Everything has a spirit, even the spirit of bugs such as flu and bacteria. So before it reaches your physical level, it's great to work on the spiritual level or the unseen level. I'm smudging everybody. So allow yourself to let go of any negativity, any cords, energy cords that no longer serve you, including you can untie cords to your perpetrators. Say, I release you with love. Let go of the cords, because there's energy cords back and forth. If they're putting out something and you're having an emotional reaction, there's a cord between you. So you can release that. So this is white sage. And then the next one is sweetgrass. And sweetgrass brings in positive energy. So the other removes, and then the sweetgrass brings in. So those are pretty easy to get, or like I said in some of my other videos, I've even dried pine needles or St. John's wort, lemon balm, peppermint. Most herbs have healing qualities. So I was going to talk about 3 things that I know of. Usually most of my my videos are pretty much intuitively channeling. I have somewhat of an idea of what I'm going to say, but not always. So I got cut off on my last video. And one final thing I was going to say on that, there was a couple, but one thing I wanted to say now is working with crystals. And crystals definitely do not block directed energy weapons. But what they can do is keep your vibration high. And I've talked about that many times, trying to do everything you can to keep your vibration high, like herbs, surrounding yourself with flowers, flower essences. I don't eat meat. I don't eat animals, mostly because they're tortured now. They didn't used to be. So I think that helps keep my energy high. Being around good people, high vibration people, you're going to pick up the energy of whoever you're with. So don't think just because you're a better person than, or you think you are, than someone you invite into your house, because you're going to share their energy with them, and you're going to get karma from them too. So try to, be wary of who you hang out with. So also amethyst will pull energy out, and I've used it, in my, so always clearing this third eye psychic center. So you can, sometimes I just sleep with them, and then in the morning I cleanse them outside with salt. Actually, this is the one I've used a lot, and this has picked up some pretty serious radiation. I don't know if you can see the bottom of this. I don't know. There's some images in there which I'm trying to clear out, but I think it's the spiritual side of radiation, which is not a happy looking being, but I've got most of the energy out of this, and but this will absorb a lot of radiation or whatever it is, negative energy. So again, crystals that I know of, I don't know any that will protect you from directed energy, but I know they will take negative energy out of your body. And also, like, if you have them around, they're just very high vibration. They're pretty. They remind you of the earth, of love, of joy. At least they do me. So in addition to, herbs like I have here, this is St. John's wort. I think there's some lavender in this, and this is sweetgrass. And again, this was the sage that I just lit. So, using herbs for the outside, and then internally, I talked about cilantro, getting nanotech out of you. Spirulina is really important, I think, for us because it gives you energy. And I've noticed one thing that's really important sometimes is to keep moving, and everybody who's a target knows what that means. And, it keeps you from maybe taking that nap in the middle of the day when you're going to get hit. Whenever you slow down, chances are potentially you're going to get hit. So if you can have spirulina, it's a blue-green algae. And I think the best ones are from Klamath Lake, but there's many different varieties. If you can, use that to keep your energy high and then start cleansing. I also take dulse, which is or you can take kelp or dulse. It's a seaweed. It attaches to radiation and pulls it out of your body. So you can try dulse for cleansing and then spirulina for energy. The other thing, let's see. Oh, deionized water also will cleanse your body. You have to be a little bit careful with it because it's completely eradicated of all minerals and anything. So it will also take in minerals, but it will also take, I think, nanoparticle, not the particles, but different elements, toxins in your body that aren't supposed to be there. Deionized water, you can get it most health food stores, or probably even some of the main grocery stores in the, where they have the running water. So those are a few things I wanted to mention for helping you cleanse and heal and stay energized. So the other thing I was going to talk about tonight is shamanism and shamanic healing. So I've spoken many times that the spiritual side of targeting this spiritual side of almost anything on this planet is as powerful, if not more so, than the physical. Have you heard the saying, as above, so below? It means what is happening on the spiritual is happening on the physical. Have you heard of abracadabra? It means as I think, I create. As I speak, I create. So we're living in a world where most of it you can't see, but it's actively affecting us. And also, I do encourage people to do everything on the physical level you can, whether it's filling out affidavits or, trying to go to the rallies. There was one in Sacramento and there's one in Portland, Oregon coming up. Do everything you can on the physical, but the fastest way to make change on the planet is to change it on the spiritual level. And shamans have always known how to do that, and a lot of other mystics. That's why the Catholic Church and many other organizations and political systems, religious systems throughout history have tried to eradicate all the shamans. And they did a very good job for a long time. The Siberian shamans were, thrown out of helicopters. They were hung, they were drowned. We all know what happened to the Native Americans, the same thing, the Trail of Tears. Anyway, that the systems in play, the satanic systems in play, could eradicate people who had spiritual knowledge, they did it. And I'm sure that a lot of the people who are targets now have a lot of spiritual knowledge. They might not even know it. I know they also target people who are scientists, who are engineers, anybody that has, above average information on certain, categories that are important. But the spiritual knowledge, and that's also why the Catholic Church, I think, from the Gnostic Gospels, that I read, which are the original teachings of Christ that I'm aware of, they were carbon tested. They were found in Nag Hammadi in the papyrus, and they were carbon tested. They went back to Christ's time. There was no mention at all that anything to do with, the earth or shamans or, talking to trees or, being near nature. There was nothing sinful about that. I'm sure Jesus did most of his teaching under trees. So I believe it's been eradicated from the Bible and suppressed, oppressed. I mean, if you talk about the Inquisition, where millions of women were hung or crushed under stone or, burned to the stake. Many of them weren't so-called witches, but many of them did have some power, and it's any power associated with the unseen, even if you're healing, was a threat to the church. And now it's a threat. It's still a threat to the church because, as Dr. Horton has said, and I believe, all roads lead to Rome. So whether you think you're fighting, the CIA here or the FBI here, they're all under the mothership of England, and England is under the jurisdiction of the Vatican. So basically everything is all the way down to the gang stalker in your neighborhood. Somehow they're getting paid. And if you follow the money, you're probably going to follow it all the way back to Rome, or some of the subsidies. And the basis of Rome is satanic ritual, the Catholic Church. So they eradicated, they thought, everybody. And I did a master's thesis on shamanism for Lesley University in Cambridge. I learned many things, of course. I mean, a lot of my shamanic skills they're natural. I think they're natural for every human being. I learned that there was archaeological and anthropological evidence of shamans at almost every point on the earth at some point in time, which means we all have a lineage back to shamans. So it's nothing new. It's ancient. It's not new age. And it's part of every single one of us. It is part of our DNA to have expanded powers and to be able to travel into other realms. It's just been oppressed, repressed, and demonized by the Vatican, by the Catholic Church, because they're psychopaths. And what psychopaths do is disassociate from their crime and blame it on someone else. They have no accountability. They have no sense of responsibility. So they're saying the witches were the demons, or the healers were they are, they're disassociating and displacing it. So put it back, give it back to them, because that's where it belongs. If you keep up with any alternative news, or anything about the priests and the arrests and the satanic ritual, it all goes back to them. It's nothing to do with us. Most humans are natural healers, and they're naturally, I think, unless they're taken over by demons or have very low moral character. Most humans I know have good intention, except for this, the top level, which is psychopathic and often satanic. So, the Western world has seen a sharp increase in shamanic practitioners and shamanism. And a lot of that had to do with Dr. Michael Harner, who studied shamans all over the world and brought back a form of shamanism called core shamanism. And it's being taught all over the world now. And I was a student of that, and Sandra Ingerman, who taught soul retrieval. I never thought I would be figuring out how to help targets with shamanism. Again, that wasn't in my vocabulary 3 years ago. But I've been called by my own guides and my own belief in how we're going to restore this planet and eliminate a lot of this psychopathic activity in AI that is being run by psychopaths, is claiming our spirituality, our spiritual power. Because if you change everything on the physical, let's say we get a law that passes that said, no, you can't, send radiation at civilians in New Mexico, or, all these laws. So you've changed it on the physical, but the spiritual impression is still there. So it's going to recreate on the physical. All the places the witches were hung and burned and murdered in England and Scotland and Europe during the Inquisition, the energy still lingers. It needs to be healed for some. There's probably child sex trafficking taking place on some of those things. I've seen it. I've done energy clearings in Santa Fe, and I know, where there's crime and there's homelessness and there's discord. If you go in there shamanically, there's been a war, there's been killing, there's been Native Americans and whites, death and discord. So we need to address the spiritual aspect of this. And what I want is 100,000 shamans journeying with their power animals, with their loving ancestors, with the middle world spirits, the tree spirits, the spirits of the mountains. They will align with us to save this planet and to save humans. But because they are good and compassionate and loving, and we're on a free will planet, they will not come to you unless you call upon them. And it's time for all of us to call upon our power that's been eradicated and suppressed and demonized, and we're all scared of it, and we don't think we have it. I think everyone is a shaman. I think if you want to be, it's just a matter of changing the channel. You're only seeing the physical, you just change it a little. So, and it's a process of remembering. And if we all could remember and we could all journey for each other, I've been told we can align with these ancestors and even, the dragon people and all the wonderful beings that were run off the planet that are living in, upper world or lower world or other dimensions will work with us. And the power of prayer. If you pray in one place for someone, you can feel it in another. Imagine yourself praying and you also have angels with you and river spirits and tree spirits. I mean, it's like the Lord of the Rings. And we're sort of all like the Hobbit. We're very innocent. And the innocence and vulnerability is one thing that the loving and compassionate spirits will respond to, and intention. So I have classes that I teach here in Santa Fe for a very small number of people, but I want to put a teaching series